Assalamualaikum ladies and gentlemen, this is your host Shiva Gill, always with the program Stars of LCCI. जैसे कि आपको पता है कि Stars of LCCI में हमेशा हम आपको एक नए मेहमान से मिलवाते हैं, The Shining Stars of LCCI. आज फिर हमारे साथ एक एग्जीक्यूटिव मेंबर LCCI के मौजूद हैं और वो कन्वेनर हैं, कमेटी को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं ECO, दैट इज इकोनॉमिक कॉर्पोरेशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. और आपका ज़्यादा वक्त ना लेते हुए मिलवाते हैं, इज अ यूथ रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ आवर LCCI, Mr. Aqib. Asif is our today's guest. Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, Aslam. Thank you for having me.
Sir, good to have you over on the show. So, how the things are going on, and thanks for spending your time out today.
No problem. Always there for the community.
Thank you so very much. So, you're representing ECO. So,
Yeah.
tell us about that, your committee, and how's it going?
ECO, as you just mentioned, Economic Cooperation Organization.
Yes.
It was first initiated back in 1984 by the 3 member states. It was mainly Iran, Pakistan, and Turkey. They were the pioneers of this organization.
Okay.
And as many organizations like SAARC and Shanghai corporations, it has a similar kind of working, to increase the trade between countries,
Okay.
have socio-economic development. And one of the basic agendas back those time was to have a similar kind of arrangements that Europe has. The European states interlink between each other.
No, but why there was a need of making this organization, other organizations are already representing and the things are going smoothly. I mean, what was the need and necessity to start this thing?
If we look at this region specifically, back in those times there was no set organization
Okay.
that will just dedicate itself looking at the potentials between these countries. And since this region it has the potential of having a lot of trade between each other. It has a total population of over 450 million if you combine all these states together.
Okay.
And the biggest reason of any such organization is to improve the connectivity between people.
Exactly, and to build the value.
To build the relations, and whether it is trade or whether there is something else, until and unless people don't know each other, people don't understand each other, business cannot happen.
Yeah.
So the first thing this organization, one of the visions that it has, was to improve the connectivity between the people. People-to-people exchange is always vital. And that's where it all started with this organization.
Okay. So, now how many countries are the member of ECO, and how's it going, and what are the best contributions of Pakistan being, because it was one of the pioneer country which started up with this organization.
Now it has approximately 10 members.
Okay.
Includes Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, and Afghanistan, and the remaining Central Asian states, namely Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, like that. And as the role of Pakistan being member of and being the pioneer of this organization, we just recently concluded a year or so ago a summit. We held it in Islamabad. It was a success for the international community. As a image, it was a success that yes, we are good at the diplomatic affairs in a way that we can invite the organization of the countries and have a table talk to develop those kind of policies which are in mutual interest of not just one country but in many countries.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, it's not just one country that has to develop itself. All our neighboring countries are going through something these days.
Yeah.
And until and unless we are not supportive to each other, we can't improve our situation.
Of course.
Pakistan has contributed a lot into its circumstances, and they have provided things to Iran as well and Turkey as well. At the very time of need, we have back in 80s and 90s, we were a very strong economy, and we were doing very well, and we played our part for the trade.
How do you think the decline in our industry we see now? It's sometimes it's very hard shattering. So how do you think this decline affected overall country economy? Obviously, you, me, and everybody knows this. But what are the consequences which we are bearing now out of that comparative situation of Pakistan, their economy and our economy?
I will compare each and every scenario in terms of my committee.
Of course, you said.
And if I look towards my west, which is Iran, and I look towards my east, which is India, then Afghanistan, then Turkey. If I start comparing the situation of Pakistan with these countries, I would say Pakistan lagged in one major issue, which was policies. There was not enough consensus made, and there was not enough suggestions taken from the business community and come up with the policies that eventually will help create a better governing system. In Iran, when they came under sanctions, they did something which we would have done many years ago, which was reverse engineering.
Okay.
And I think, in my personal opinion, as a country, we have to do the same. We have to start reversing things. Whatever we are importing these days, we have to come up with a strategy that we start condemning these imports and start localizing these products in Pakistan. Right now, Iran is manufacturing its own cars. They are manufacturing their own locomotives. They are manufacturing their own turbines, which, in my opinion, for a country that has been locked out from the economic situations, and they have still achieved so much for their industry, I think we should learn from that example. And the example of Turkey is in front of us. Right now, from the region, it has the highest GDP of in excess of 850 billion. And with such a least population of, and they have one of the highest GDP per capita in the region as well, which is in excess of $9,000 US. And we have one of the lowest of the region.
What is the reasons, as you mentioned, that it's obviously been lacked, but I personally feel that LCCI in itself been a strong forum always, and always been very supportive to business community and raising the issues and making it a voice. Obviously, it's a bridge always with the business community and the government sector. So, or do you think it couldn't be conveyed well, or they didn't perceive it well, the government sectors? Or where would be the lack that in these 2 decades we've been to a lot of decline in industry. So has it been going, though it's a strong forum, still independently doing very nice. So on government end, they must be speaking, they must be meeting the representatives every second day. There is something happening, and every second day government representatives are here. So where was the lack? How do you feel by ECO being the convener for the committee? So how do you feel you've been looking after all these things?
Let's answer this in 2 parts. Number one, if you are looking at the role of LCCI over the years in improving the economic situation of Pakistan, or raising the voice and the concern of the business community towards the government, the first part is that let's divide our last decades. There was from 2000 to 2010, and then from 2000 to 2020.
Exactly.
And then let's divide that, because there was 2 major different governments. There was before it was under martial law, and then came the People's Party government, and then PMLN, and now we are seeing another new government. If I compare the situations, things were good, then went bad, and then went better as well. No, it wasn't worse if you look at different aspects of
different industries.
Economy. If you look at different aspects of the economy, the last 5 years was not bad, truly bad. I won't say that.
It was just getting on a
situation was quite worse, and the last 5 years things were pulled back because of CPEC as well. A lot of influx was there, a lot of infrastructure was there. Now we don't have to sit in load sheddings. Industry is coming back to its normal situation. So things were getting on track. Things were getting on track because the thing was that the government was listening. LCCI on its part has always come up with different strategies through its R&D departments. especially when it comes to the budget. We have always proposed budgets to the government, and it's not they have never listened. They have listened to our policies, and they have implemented those policies as well. But at the end of the day, I won't blame anybody, but I would say the governance system was not into a structural form that I would say that, things were bad because of that. We lacked structure. In an economy, we lacked a structure. And we still lack it, that every department has its own functions and it has its own say and powers and wills. But unfortunately, in Pakistan, it has always been a one-man show. One person has been doing all the things, and sometimes he listens, sometimes he doesn't listen. Irrelevant of the fact whether something is rational or irrational. So LCCI has played its part. If we have not done what we should have done as an organization, then we wouldn't have been winning for the past so many years. We have represented the community. We have served their interest. It's now it's been a premier chamber of Pakistan, and not just one forums, not just in Pakistan. We have taken this initiative on global platforms as well. What we see right now, Lahore is now the backbone of the economy these days. It is contributing maximum to the GDP. We have seen a lot of migration from a lot of cities to Pakistan. And Lahore right now is absorbing a lot of pressure of Pakistan, being cultural hub, being right now the economic hub, being the hub of the capital of the largest province of Pakistan, is absorbing a lot of pressure. And this is one of the reasons that right now the new government is actually listening to Lahore and keeping Lahore as a priority. And the suggestions that we are putting forward to the government since they have taken charge is definitely in favor of the business community. But it will take some time. Policies have not been changed or made accordance to or in compliance to the business community in many years. Let's talk about 10-15 years has passed since a proper business oriented policy has come to support the trade and manufacturing. So what we have done this year for the new government is that we have broken down into various aspects, and looking at the turmoil that in which we found ourselves, 20-30% depreciation in value is quite large. It hurts the businessmen for a country that is now trying to get itself into the next phase of the manufacturing. And if suddenly the rupee depreciates, of course the imports are going to be larger in bills, and our value-added products are going to get costly, without a doubt.
It is getting day by day.
I
mean, we just see inflation and everything, the things are, and I guess everybody's going through the process. We do expect for the better, but things have to go on. Our guest for today, Mr. Aqib, Asif is with us. Stay tuned with us after a short break. वेलकम बैक आफ्टर द ब्रेक. जैसा कि ब्रेक पे जाने से पहले आपको बताया कि हमारे आज के जो एग्जीक्यूटिव मेंबर LCCI के हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं मिस्टर आकिब आसिफ, ECO के कन्वीनर है, उस कमेटी को हेड भी कर रहे हैं, और ऑफ कोर्स उनसे बड़ी इंफॉर्मेटिव सी बातें चल रही हैं हम लोगों की, how the things are going, how this economic cooperation organization work, what are the effects on the market, and how is it going. Sir, the thing is, how are the market trends basically? What are the things which are going on, and what are basic focus out of this ECO member,
One of few things that as a convener or me being part of LCCI that I would love to do from this forum. When you are sharing thousands of kilometer long borders with a country, you have to be very vigilant that the policies are according to our manufacturing standards, at least that it doesn't hurt our industry at the end of the day. And unfortunately it is. Our government, because it's not opening up to those countries formally, there is a lot of factors which I cannot go into. There's so many factors because of which we cannot go openly to these countries. We can't disclose. And what are the repercussions to those policies, which is smuggling. And it's not just with Afghanistan, it's with Iran. Iran right now is hurting our industry because there are no banking channels. Most of the countries that are part of ECO, we don't have a formal banking channel. How do we expect to do business with those countries?
But that's the basic thing, that what I'm just like keeping a question in eye, that, how we can put the thing that at least they start the right channels. You, me, everybody, and even the purchaser who purchases from the market a product, they are aware that this is a smuggled product, So, of course, it has gone up to the higher end as well. So, if A to Z is aware of what is happening, so why we're not, making the strategies, why we're not giving the channels to them that they actually legalize the things? Either it's putting up some markups or some charges, or at least, it's coming up in, government check. So why, that's just a question mark. You're representing, it well, so...
As I said, there are certain things. There are certain things that are out of the hands of the business community.
And not out of hand of government.
Yeah, but again, government has to be, if they have to make decisions based on the time and what is necessary and what's not right now. And at the end of the day, we do understand why we have to face these situations as well. I will give you an example. Pakistan right now is energy deficient.
Yeah, it is.
We need gas. We are having load sheddings of gas around. If we are now getting ourselves sustainable in electricity, we are having gas load sheddings. And we have to import it from Qatar. LNG imports are there. And it's costing us a lot of foreign exchange. And it can be avoided. And there are two solutions to that. One is the IP gas pipeline, which is Iran-Pakistan gas pipeline that has been there for almost, now it's been almost 5-6 years that we haven't done anything from our part. The other gas pipeline is TAPI, which is, which is lying there as well and hasn't been completed yet. And if either one of the project gets towards completion level, I think a lot of things can be resolved. But if we just, as a layman...
As that easy solution is as easily just like delivered it?
As I said, Iran, I was in Iran last year as well. I've been going to them for quite some time because it's the first country and has almost the third largest GDP of the region. And they informed me that they have constructed the pipe and it is right on Pakistan's border. All we have to do is to build the remaining 30 kilometers long pipeline towards our side, and then we will have access to the endless supply of gas, because Iran is third largest gas reserves in the world, which is massive.
Yeah, of course it is.
And why can't we do that?
Why do we do that?
Why can't we do that?
Okay, if we do that, so if it's meeting a lot of problems for the industry, why government is not taking an initiative for this, or haven't you proposed them yet?
No, it's not about proposals or things like that. As I said, there are so many factors. Diplomatic pressure is the biggest of them.
Well, we have to overcome the problems which we are facing. So we have to find the solutions actually.
Solution is very simple. I might detract myself, but I would say until and unless we as Muslims, we don't find unity among ourselves, we cannot reach anywhere in our future.
Yeah, of course.
It is the commandments of the Almighty that we should not separate ourselves and divide ourselves into different, castes and so many things. And it has been, mainly it's because of that. And then the second thing is that we as a region has never gotten the chance to progress. One factor was this. The other factor is nobody wants us to progress. If we started to progress, then who is going to be the next superpower? If China is on one hand trying to support you, and you can understand how difficult it has been just to implement CPEC, the situation in Balochistan and so many factors, we are going against so many factors as a country, and we are still progressing. We are still living. We are still ensuring
Surviving
that we are
anyway.
surviving.
Yeah, we're
We are
surviving, yeah.
eating, we are enjoying ourselves, we are going to
We
the
are
malls.
happy.
We're doing
And,
everything.
Without any reason.
It
whenever
is
happens,
not
we just
easy.
embrace it. Yeah.
I did my bachelor's from Glasgow, UK, and I have seen societies, I've seen cultures, and I see like, okay, these people has everything, and they still don't enjoy life like
And
we
they keep
do.
running like headless chickens, yeah.
They get up in the morning, they start running, they come back, and 5 days spent, 2 days enjoyment.
Yeah.
Okay, that's life for them.
Yeah.
And I was quite, annoyed by this fact that, okay, now I don't think that I can live in these kind of situations. I have to go back for my country. I felt caged there.
Yeah.
Here is freedom.
Yeah, freedom is that.
And still, out of all the things that we are going through, we are still living. We are still surviving. We are still doing everything.
And surviving, and then at the day end, we are happy as well. I mean, we forget everything. What happened today, it's a positive and very alarming at the same time.
Of course.
That, there's something way big happens. We cry, we yell, we shout at that, and the very next day we are like, okay, like happy-go-lucky people. So it's very positive at one end that, okay, we are strong people, we can actually get the things, we can digest them, and we can actually coop up and prolong life, we don't stop it. But at the same time, it's alarming. I mean, are we keeping our eyes closed?
It's not that we are keeping our eye closed. As a nation, we have gone through a lot. Last 10 years, we have gone through a lot. Yeah. And I salute all the institutions that have taken Pakistan out of this situation. And I salute our nation as well for being resilient and standing up to all those forces and factors and coming out of that shadows and now coming back to light. It will happen. In my understanding, we have to forget our differences for once. As a country and as a nation, we have to forget the differences and we have to come up with a 50-year plan.
Okay.
We can't come up with a 5-year plan, we can't come up with a 3-year plan.
Every government comes in, they have their own plans, they have their own strategies, they have their own mindset, and they think they are going to deliver better than the previous ones. So this war and this politics going on, and I don't know, but it was, I heard it, it was said that, politics has been the prime business of Pakistan. So that's somehow proved right as well, But how are we gonna overcome this situation? How are we gonna sustain our industry? How are we gonna make our economy better? That's the thing which at the end we need.
The thing is that, are we willing to change as a nation? That's number one thing. Are we? Am I going to change for the better person of mine as well for the future?
Better version of ourselves.
Better version of myself. Because we as a nation, we don't do anything until it becomes inevitable. Okay, now we are coming up with, okay, we have to construct the dams because otherwise we are lost. Our young generation, our coming generations will be doomed. They don't have any future. So finally, the consensus were made, and we are pushing ourselves, out of the crisis of water, and we are constructing our dams, which is, I think, the best initiative and the best way forward. Otherwise, we will starve ourselves to death.
Of course.
There will be no water, and we are
energy already we are lacking, and gas the other sectors
we are seeing its things in Sindh. Already the situation is quite bad over there.
Yes.
And
they're depriving every basic necessity.
Of course. So if we have to come out of this, we cannot prepare for a year, 2 years, 5 years. We have to prepare for 50 years.
Of course.
Unless we don't prepare for such long, because we are not, like a small company or something. We are a country.
Yeah, of course.
And a country of over 200 million people. For that, we have to come up with a 50-year plan and divide it into few portions. If we have come up with a 2025 vision, 2030 vision, we have to come up with 2050, 2080, that kind of things. And then break it.
I absolutely agree to this opinion. But again, with this, if we do focus on for example, 2020, 2030 plan, and we stick to that, we execute that, we put our energies in that, and we get consequences. If minor changes are needed or so, we go according to that. But I guess even if we meet our tenures for each decade, that was, I mean, there's going to be a big achievement at the end.
Our institutions has to stand firm with the policies, whether it's judiciary, whether it's army, whether it's business community, whether it's the political parties, technocratic, whatever. We have to come up with one plan, and the governments, institutions, and the nation, they all have to come on one page. For instance, we have to build a dam, everybody is on one page. Okay, we have to do it, otherwise we are gone. Okay, next step, can we come up with the industrial revolution? Of course we can. Let's plan for 10 years, let's prepare those policies for the next 10 years. And we as LCCI have done a very good thing, and which we are working on, that we are separating those HS codes which are actually our imports are dependent on, and we are going into value added products. For us, the biggest challenge is to export, to increase our exports, is that most of our product we have to import our raw material. When we import our raw material, we have to place a lot of taxes on it. And a thing that can be imported for $100, after taxes, it is, you know, $150 US dollars as, you know, as a duties on it, on top of that. So when we, you know, do all its value additions and everything, and we come back into selling into the market, it's 186 rupees, for instance. The market in international level is 30-40% cheaper than this. And so this government has done a very good initiative, listening to us, and they for the first time have come up with a policy, and they have separated this policy making and collection from FBR. Before it was with the FBR. If I ask you, you have to collect this much money, of course I'm going to create the policies.
One way or other,
Okay, let's put this much tax, that much tax, so I can have more and more revenue. So first time they have separated these two things. They are not involved in making these policies now. This will help us differentiate the products, reduce the tariffs which are for the manufacturing industry, and they can be value added and then re-export back to the world. So eventually it will gonna take 6-7 months at least to, you know, differentiate all these. And once the raw material tariffs has been brought down to a level that it is favorable for the manufacturing industry to put the value addition, of course it's gonna increase our exports.
We're definitely gonna speak on to the government sector, what are the expectations and things. But here's the time for a short break. Stay tuned with us. Welcome back after the break. ब्रेक पे जाने से पहले आपको बता रहे थे कि मिस्टर आकिब आसिफ एग्जीक्यूटिव मेंबर LCCI के वो हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं, और हम बात कर रहे थे कि इकोनॉमिकल सिचुएशंस जो हैं उन पे किस तरह से हम बेहतरी ला सकते हैं, और कौन सी ऐसी सिचुएशंस हैं और कौन से ऐसे प्रपोजल्स हैं जो प्रेजेंट किए जा सकते हैं गवर्नमेंट को for the betterment of industry, and particularly for this sustaining position for economic cooperation organization, which is actually a core thing which Pakistan is representing, and Mr. Aqib Asif is the representative and the convener for the committee. So, sir, before going to the break, we were just discussing what are your expectations from this government and how are you taking this government. I mean, a lot of positive energies were there, are there, and still, you know, I guess they are going into better strategies, and we're expecting better. So there was a change we were expecting, and we do hope that inshallah we'll be finding that as well. So how do you see it?
You know, there are a lot of expectations with this government. They have promised a lot of things before coming into the elections, and they
have to
won
deliver
as
it
well.
somehow, because people have got awareness.
Of course, and I don't think that they can fulfill their promise until they listen. And fortunately, they have been listening to the business community. There has been a lot of meetings with the advisor, commerce as well, Mr. Razak Dawood. There's been meetings with the Mr. Asad Umar as well, of our Chamber of Commerce, and we have given the suggestions, and we have put down our effort to ensure that the next couple of years are in favor of the business community. And they are listening, and as I was saying that they are starting to implement new policies as well, which has not been done for quite some time. And inshallah over some time, because it's not an easy change, you know. It will happen.
It'll take time.
It will take a little time, but it
gradual,
will. We have to first ensure that we do step-by-step integration in improving ourselves. The first one, as I said, tariffs, which is very important to increase our exports. That has happened. Condemn those imports which are very unnecessary, which we are doing that as well.
Unfortunately, we are importing even a smaller, even these cups and glasses. I mean, for our daily use, we can do a lot. We can depend on our made in Pakistan product.
Yes, we should. We should, but we have
to. We should prefer our own products.
We should, but our manufacturing industry has to learn something as well. And that is that if we are manufacturing something, we increase its cost so much that it's out of the reach of a normal person to buy. Now brings to my third thing, which is smuggling. We have to come up with enough ways to condemn that. Because if you are smuggling something from border and it's coming and landing into Lahore market, do you think that it will just happen? No. How many people can be involved?
Would be the process.
Is there any institution who is involved in facilitating this?
Of course it is.
So
otherwise
we have
it's
to
not
pinpoint
possible.
that.
Of course.
We have to pinpoint all these things and why smuggling is happening. Because something that we are manufacturing for 20 rupees. Okay, talk about Pakistan.
Yeah.
And now the manufacturer itself creates SROs that are in its favor. Should be. But then you should not increase your price to a level that, okay, you are ensuring that there are no imports as well of these products. And so I'm going to ensure my margins are high so I can make all the money. And then, of course, when people are not going to afford your product, there's going to be smuggling. And smuggled products are coming very cheaper in the Pakistani market. That
exactly, and better quality as well.
Yes, 50% of our people cannot, are below the poverty line. What do you expect? Smuggling is the biggest issue right now. Our markets are filled with the Iranian products from China, products from these countries, either under invoiced or either smuggled product. Why? That's one of the situations. 50% of your population can't afford. The remaining 20% who has a little bit of power, they are not willing to afford that much because we are seeing a lot of economic collapse for the last few months.
Exactly.
So our manufacturing standards has to improve. How can they improve? Number one, we don't have proper resources, manpower. Why China is cheaper? It's because somebody asked this question to the CEO of Apple and he was replying back, okay, you blame us for going to China, you blame us for doing this, you blame us for doing that. He said the reason we go to China is that if we want 6 services to be done, it can be done under one roof in China.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what they are good at.
It's trans.
We have such a huge 100 million population, youth, and they have nowhere to go. Exactly. There is nobody to guide them. What to do with your life? Become an engineer, become a doctor.
Who has to do
what
it?
else?
Who has to do it, sir?
I think, in my personal opinion, it requires a lot of effort from the public awareness platforms. Number two, it is not just one institution or one thing that has to be changed. There are so many things. Our educational curriculum needs to be changed. To be very honest with you.
But the people who have already studied and fortunately or unfortunately got the degrees, bachelor's or master's degrees, they have nothing to do. They have no guidance. They have done their studies. They have spent the good 20 years of their lives and they're 20 plus. They have nowhere to go. They don't have any jobs in the market. Many of them have resources but have lack of guidance and so what the youth is, I mean that is our future, that is our strength right now, but we are wasting that hand on hand. So what are we going to do actually with them? What's
right
their
now,
fault?
Yeah, right now we don't
or the
need
parents who have spent money on their education.
We don't need employment, we need entrepreneurs right now.
Yeah.
Number two, we need skilled labor. Number three, we need better technology. China is helping us and we should be very thankful that one country has finally is starting to support us in such bad situations, where we are not in situation or in position to invest such heavily in those sectors. We need to develop our skill. We have not learned anything specific. if I have done a degree in aeronautics, I cannot practice in Pakistan because there is no such place to practice it. If somebody has done, MBA, that has to be implemented. What they have taught in the university, that has to be implemented on a multinational companies. You cannot implement it on SMEs because it doesn't work that way in Pakistan. We are not very structuralized in Pakistan. It's gonna take some time, so we need more skilled labor. Number one.
But they actually have been wasted, and now after getting the education again wasted. How we can actually empower them? How we can encourage them? At least be something. If for example the wrong education being taken or whatever, but still now we need a solution. What they're gonna do with their lives? There's a bunch of educated youngsters, and they have nowhere to go. They don't have jobs.
Firstly,
I mean, how we can utilize them?
Firstly, we have to separate the leaders from the workers.
Of course.
In this
Scenario.
youth, if we have 100 million youth, for instance, separate the leaders first from them, and then separate the working class from that. No, not everybody is born to be a leader.
A leader, of course, nobody can.
No, sometimes you don't have the right instincts to be the leader. Sometimes you're a good follower, sometimes you're a good leader. First, differentiate that. Number one. Number two, we have an organization called SMEDA. Lahore Chamber is in collaboration with that. It is specifically here to encourage young entrepreneurs to do something for themselves. And they have so many feasibilities available on that. Chamber itself can help them connect these two things. The dots has to be connected. There are so many engineers. We need engineering based industry right now. It is 59% to the
very much needed.
It actually contributes 59% to the world's total trade. Engineering. So we have so much brain, so many. This is our strength. Our strength is not our dams, or it's not in whatever the resources we have. Our strength is the resource, this 100 million population. This is our strength. Can we encash that? Yes, we can. We just need to put them on the right track. Let's differentiate it, create certain classes, encourage them to come up with ideas, but then we have to support them as well.
Who has to take the initiative for this?
I think the initiative has to be taken by them, by the young people themselves. Nobody is going to.
Where do they go?
Okay, where do they go? Let's start from there. Can they at least come up with a feasibility study? Number one, yes, they can.
Of course.
If you're sitting in an institution and you're studying, you are being taught economics as well. You are being taught how to create a marketing plan as well. You are taught how a business plan works, how to pitch it and everything. Unfortunately, we are so bad at pitching a business plan that I can't even tell you.
Because we're not trained.
Yeah, we are not trained, of course. The second phase, I think there has been a youth scheme as well by the government with collaboration of SMEDA. It gives you very easy loans under that scheme. And I think if we can combine these people, let's say one person has come up with a certain plan in Lahore, somewhere in Karachi has come up with a certain plan. Can we start clusters of these things? SMEDA is already doing that. SMEDA is already initiating clusters. Like for example, if in one city, there are a lot of mangoes, and in that city there is no processing zone, and just to encourage the processors, so they have put down their money, they have initiated the processing plant, and now mango is being converted from just a raw into a processed product, and now they are being exported into the out of the country. That is good. We need the similar kind of mechanism. And if we don't want this young generation to just wait itself, they have to first take the initiative that, okay, I am not willing to waste myself. If I'm not getting a job, what can we do? They have to come up with this plan. They have to first motivate themselves that yes, we can do it. I myself, being a young entrepreneur, I face so many difficulties every day. There are so many blocks, there are so many things, ups and downs, this, that, but that doesn't stop me from, doing what I feel like doing, or, whatever the dream is.
How many are actually in the situation or into the right, frame that they can think that way, or they've been driven that way, you are actually mashallah on a good track and in a representing position. But many of them not. My last question for the show, it could be that, you know, if for example you put them for a while in their shoes and you think you probably can do it, you got the spark, and being the, you know, convener for ACO, how could you drive youth, or at least, you know, tap people in your 2-year tenure, if they could be accommodated? I guess that would be the achievement. So being the ACO convener, how would you drive the youth to come up into it, you know, and to be getting out of that trauma? Unfortunately, our youth is getting so much into drugs, depressions, and so because they have nothing to do, you know, and the remaining thing which they have along, they're wasting into it because they didn't get the track, or somehow they tried. Unfortunately, we've been trained in our educational institutions that they always say, you'll become CEO of the company, you would be the brand manager, you would be nobody teaches you that you will start a small setup, you know, and you will drive your own business, you know. So we're not driving a business mind, we are driving the people job minds. So that's like, if for instance 14-16 years you've been taught that way, so to bring onto that phase is a little change. So I guess that change is very possible. How would you do it?
In my understanding, the problem is that we as a young generation, especially when we hit the age of 12, our freedom is taken away from us.
Yeah.
And that freedom is not about, you know, going there or going that. I'm talking about one simple thing.
Yeah.
Be who you want to be phrase. That phrase is taken from us at that age. We are, as a nation, as I was saying in the beginning, we have so many issues. We don't have consensus within ourselves. We have so many differences. And now we are having things like jealousy. We are having things like, you know, insecurity. These are the things that are killing us. It's not our policies. It's not, you know, government. It's not anything. We have to change ourselves first. Okay, for instance, I will give you an example. If today I start making a lot of money, people will not sit and say, Alhamdulillah, mashallah, let's move forward and let's do more things. Unfortunately, they are thinking,
why did you do it?
Why is he doing it? They are having these kind of things in their heart. And unfortunately, these are the things when, you know, it starts to happen in a nation, becomes a downfall. We have to change ourselves. We have to think as a community that yes, we are going to make it together. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take 15-20 years. Our generation, one simple thing that I can tell my generation, don't do it for yourself. Don't think that you're going to do it for yourself. If you're going to live with this mindset that, okay, I'm going to do it for myself, then you are going to, when you start to fail, you're going to get depressed. And that's when the drugs comes. You have to come up with a mindset that I'm going to do it for my children's or the children from there or my grandsons. Because when you do it for them, it will take you time.
You'll be more committed.
You will be more committed. You will do it slowly, steadily, and eventually after 20 years, 30 years, we will see a difference. We have to be selfless. And that's the only solution I see, you know, for this country. Cannot be done over the night.
So we're looking for very positive contribution of your good self, being the representative of the committee, that you probably could lead few of the, you know, youth, so who can who can be a part of this position, or they can start walking onto the right track. That's what is needed. Thank you so very much for spending your time, and you know, it's a pleasure to have you along.
Thank you so
us.
much.
So that's all for today. We'll be catching you into the next episode. Stay tuned with us. Allah Hafiz.